Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your hosts, Steve and Jeff. G'day, mate.
G'day, mate. Where's the big boy?
Who cares? But, mate, what it comes down to is that we're here, Steve, and that's all that matters.
It is all that matters.
The bitter pill to swallow.
Oh, yes. And what pill are we talking about?
Well, the funny thing is that when you suggested, Steve, that we do a podcast on the pill, I swore that we had actually already done one. But the team went through and had a look, and I couldn't find anything, and we're going to talk about the pill today.
We get lots of questions about it because, you know...
My gosh, the amount of questions we get about it, Steve, it would probably be the most asked question in relation to a medicine, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's most women of reproductive age are on it. You know, it's statistically, that popular, the pill, and there's good and bad reasons to take it.
Well, I'm not taking it, Steve.
Are you not on it?
No.
Well, I'll tell you what, in March 18, one thing we'll talk about here, there is a male pill in development.
You know, they've been talking about that for a while, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, finally, but the problem is that the men would probably forget to take it. I know I would. I mean, it's hard enough to take everything else that we do.
I know. It's good that we've got an option coming, maybe, but it's something that we can talk about. But a woman does ovulate one egg a month, and we make, because men, we make 50 million sperm a day odd, so it's easier to stop one a month than 50 million a day.
Well, waste not, want not, I say. But, like there's plenty of women that need our help, Steve. But,
absolutely.
No, it does seem like a bit of a waste, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But, so in terms of the pill, I mean, obviously this is almost like a rite of passage. And, the pill's been around for quite some years now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, contraceptive was probably the idea behind it.
Yeah, good idea. Back in 43 when they started the FDA approved the pill.
Mm-hmm. Catholics weren't too happy about it, but that's another story.
No, they weren't. They were anti-contraception, and that was I don't know what the story with that was. Would they think it was killing something or killing... I'm not too
I
sure.
actually don't know, Steve.
I was brought up a Catholic. I should know this stuff.
Come on, Steve. Get with the program. But no, I mean, obviously procreation is for creating babies. I mean,
absolutely.
That's what they say.
That's it.
Nothing to do with pleasure. Actually,
no.
I'm pretty sure it says differently in the Bible. But anyway, let's not get into a religious debate, Steve.
No. Let's talk about the pill.
Oh, well, we're just trying to offend as many people as we can. We're equal opportunists,
off to a great start, 2.5 minutes. We've offended Catholics, women and men because with the sperm counts and all that. So we're off to a great start.
Yeah. As I said, I don't hate anybody. I hate everybody equally, I think is the thing. But so in terms of the pill then, Steve, obviously a lot of concern, and there seems to be more and more information coming about the pill in terms of the negative side effects of the pill. So the pros are obviously contraception being the first one. The other one that I understand, Steve, is the benefits relating to skin, especially with younger girls when they're going through that sort of pubescent age. Breakouts and things like that. In fact, even one of our girls, was using it for that.
Very much
and getting good results with it as well too.
It's great for that. Yeah, the reason why that pill works for that is twofold. Firstly, when you take an oral hormone, any hormone, your liver produces something to mop that hormone up called sex hormone binding globulin, and that binds up those hormones that you take. But also it binds up the excessive testosterone, dihydrate testosterone, DHEA, all those other hormones in the body. So you actually serum testosterone levels drop.
And DHT is responsible for a lot of things, but including, especially in women, acne.
Very much so.
And other issues that negative
anger,
for women.
Yeah, all sorts of things. DHT is a very potent androgen called dihydrotestosterone, and it's made from an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. It's a conversion of testosterone through. So all those hormones, because you're taking the pill, diminishes, particularly if you're taking the estrogen style pills. There's two types of pill. There's a mini pill, and then there's the classic estrogen progestin pill. Right, okay, and we can get into the names of those in a minute. Just out of curiosity, can women use zinc to reduce the effects of DHT? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's a natural thing that they could do to help. Lots of things naturally you can do for the skin. The pill works by also reducing LH and FSH, which is luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, because the pill basically mimics the hormones in your body as if you're pregnant. So the body goes, this girl's pregnant. I don't need to ovulate. So it doesn't ovulate, so you're infertile. So that's one of the mechanisms of action. The mini pill works slightly differently. If you can imagine a cervix. All the time. Okay, so if you imagine a cervix, it's normally, most of the time, got a plug of mucus hanging over it, okay, to stop infection and all that sort of thing. Also stop sperm getting in and endometrium coming out and all sorts of things. A little plug there. Now, when you ovulate, of course, that plug disappears because LH and FSH dissolve that plug, so it allows sperm to go out there so you can fall pregnant. It also kind of dissolves away. It becomes very thin when you menstruate.
Yeah, right.
Now, the mini pill, you might have heard of the mini pill. It's a progestin-only pill. It just keeps that plug very thick. So you take it 28 or every day of the year and every day of the month. Now, normally the other pills, every 7 days for the 28 days, you're not taking the pill. You're taking a sugar pill or a placebo. And so that, of course, means your estrogen and progestins drop and then you bleed. Mm-hmm. So that's the classic 2 styles of pill. Mm-hmm. And so one of them works on a little plug and one of them works on ovulation. So they both work. They're both 99% effective. So
right.
Good.
But as far as side effects are concerned?
Side effects are a little bit scary. The elephant in the room we'll talk about first is cancers.
Right.
There is a lot of data showing that, unfortunately, it increases the rate of breast cancers.
Right.
Which is quite severe. And the reason for that is because of the high levels of estradiol, or ethylene estradiol, which is a potent estradiol found in most contraceptive pills. In fact, all of them except the mini pill. They've all got that particular type of estrogen, and there's a whole list of pills here. So they've all got them in some form of estrogen.
Right.
Which means you're getting a more estrogen load on the body, and that, of course, can
obviously
increase
the body
breast cancers.
can't clear it away as well. So obviously that's then creating damage to the tissue, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's stimulating there's 2 types of estrogen receptors, alpha and beta. The alpha ones are in the breast, the betas are in the brain, the bones. Uh-huh. It stimulates both.
So what is the likelihood of contracting cancer? I mean, this is just one type of cancer. But
there's a few types, unfortunately.
Okay, but cancer overall, there's just statistics, information there?
There is some statistics here. I'll give you some actual facts and figures about it.
Yeah.
And it basically increases it by about 40% in breast cancer in most of the studies.
Yep.
So that's the one that with the breast and that sort of thing. So, and these are very recent ones. So here's a study that if you take the pill for less than 6 years in this particular study, it increases it by, in this particular case, 193% increase.
Is that breast cancer?
Breast cancer.
Right.
But if you take it for more than 6 years, which a lot of women do, you've got a 290% increased risk of developing cancer.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's breast cancer. And that was published quite recently. So we're starting to get a little bit in scary territory here. This is the Asian Pacific Cancer Journal in August this year.
Right.
So it's pretty recent stuff. So unfortunately, it's growing. It's not the only study to say that. There was another one that said for 3 or more years, you get a 320% increase. Oh. The one I mentioned before was a bit bigger, so 290 is 320% increases are still bad increases.
Sure.
So that's a little bit scary. And of course, it also increases cervical cancer too, which is a bit scary.
Yep. What's the rates on that?
Cervical cancer, it basically, there is a virus that triggers cervical cancer called the human papillomavirus.
Yes.
And you might have heard an Australian guy had that vaccine that's out. So that's the main cause of pretty much all cervical cancers. Now, what the pill does is it changes the microbiome in the gut and the vagina, which makes that virus more dangerous.
So instead of doing the vaccination, why don't they just say, hey, here's some prophylactics?
Yeah.
But I mean, the problem is that not all women take it for that reason.
That's right. They're right. And a lot of people take the pill. Unfortunately, in medicine, and I've spoken to my father-in-law about all this, a lot of people take the pill because there's women present to GPs with weird hormonal stuff.
Right.
And the main treatment for that is the pill.
Right.
And that's because it quote, regulates. It basically stops your natural hormone production, so it'll stop the problem. Not a very good treatment method, in my opinion, because it doesn't address the cause of it.
The problem is, I guess, today, with the pill is so synonymous with, freedom for a lot of women as well too. Not just sexual freedom, but also, and concerns around pregnancy. Yeah. But in terms of consistency, that time of the month, reducing some of the negative side effects in terms of, the heaviness and the duration and that sort of stuff as well too. Steve's skin, we've already mentioned as well too. Very good. Yeah. Any other reasons why women would take the pill?
Oh, well, there's reasons of convenience, as you say. Look, let's say I am a woman and I'm going to Hawaii on a holiday.
An ugly woman, Steve.
I'm pretty...
Let's say you're an ugly woman. It's easier to believe.
Flat-chested, ugly woman, short hair, grey, terrible-looking woman.
Yeah. But there's a contraceptive right there for me. Thanks, Steve. I don't think anyone... I don't need to take the pill now.
Not at all. But let's say I didn't want to menstruate. On my holidays. Well, I'll just keep taking the active pill.
Yes, and I've heard a lot of girls doing that, obviously, if they've got a sporting competition. Yep. And also weddings and, holidays. You're absolutely right.
So there's that convenience. So, it's not like, oh, God, will I get my period? You just simply won't. Yep. You can take it, most doctors recommend up to 3 months. You can take the active pills, because you'll notice in your little pill container, Jeff, you probably got one. It's got 21 coloured pills and then 7 white ones.
Last
or
time
something.
I saw it was probably 20 years ago because Tony, because of her rare blood disease, she can't take the pill because it
it's
the factor
stuffed with
5 Leiden, because she's got a blood clotting disease, so she can't take it. But yeah, a bit of red and a bit of silver, isn't it? And
there's so many different
I
pills.
don't know. There's like red part and girls are probably laughing right now.
You'll see 7 different coloured pills.
Right.
And what we advise for those ones is, just obviously don't take them, just throw them in the bin.
Right.
They're only there to keep you
regular.
Yeah, keep you knowing what you're taking. You're actually not taking anything. It's a placebo. It's full of lactose or sugar. So you just need to be aware that you throw that one in the bin.
Yep, just pop it out.
Pop it out. So there are many different types of pills out there. So there's almost too many to go through. But there's
the major ones that I know, Stephen. And again, this is a lot from FAQs.
Yeah.
Is it Yasmin or Jasmine? Yasmin. Yep. What's
Yas?
What's that one?
Well, Yaz is there's also different classes of oral contraceptives, and Yaz is one of the later generations.
Right.
3rd and even 4th generation progesterone.
So therefore, it should be safer. No,
it's not. It's actually vastly more dangerous because it increases clots like strokes by 635%.
Wow. Okay. So
now the Yaz is a problem.
So you're talking stroke. You're talking aneurysms.
Yep.
You're talking God forbid varicose veins.
Deep vein thrombosis.
Yeah.
Lots of ways of dying. Now the problem with Yaz is that they have been sued dramatically over this. It's the total.
Is it still on the market?
Yeah, of course it is. It hasn't killed that many.
How many?
Maybe
just a few million?
It was only about 39 in every 1,000 or something. So it's not. It's not for long time users.
Hang on. Steve,
Yeah.
if I came to your naturopath clinic,
Yes.
and you gave me a product, that for contraceptive,
Yeah.
and 39 people out of 1,000 dropped dead.
Got clots. So
got clots.
They didn't. They may have been survived. May have survived. So they got clots. So it's problematic, and that's why they're being sued for just under now $2 billion, not with a B. $2 billion.
Money's no good to you if you're dead, Steve.
But the good. Can I give you some good news then?
Yes.
The good news is that the 3rd and 4th generation pills sales have plummeted dramatically because of all these clots. And I've got a nice graph here, which I'll have to give to our guy, and if you want to look at it. But basically, the biggest selling contraceptive pills now are the 2nd generation contraceptive pills because they're safer than the 3rd and 4th, which I'll show you, but you can see the decline there, and there's the 2nd generation ones there. The doctors have realised these ones are dangerous.
Right.
So
we'll pop that graph up on the website.
We will put that. The 4th generation ones are the green line that almost parallel goes along the bottom there. You see that? It's almost nothing.
Yep.
So it's getting worse. The 1st generation ones are at the bottom because they're not sold anymore. They were massive doses of estrogen.
Right.
They didn't really know what they were doing back then, which is fair enough. And, but really the largest selling pills now are the 2nd generations ones.
Right.
Because the newer ones are vastly more dangerous.
Right. So the 2nd generation, but still have, obviously some serious side effects to consider.
Oh, we haven't even started on the side effects. There's absolutely horrendous ones. We've talked about some cancers, cervix and breast, and there's a few others. Bowel cancer is another one, liver cancer.
Yep.
But one of the other major side effects is with the thyroid.
Right.
Now, there was a bit of a problem with this because when you take the pill, people put on weight and they go, it's not the pill, because you measure T3 and T4 and the levels don't change. But what it actually increases is a protein called thyroid binding globulin. So what it does, like sex hormone binding globulin, it drives the liver to make this stuff. So as it binds up all your thyroid hormones, so the active part of your thyroid drops, but the total amount of thyroid hormone stays the same. So now, more recently, you can measure these active thyroids calling free T3 and free T4 tests. But most of them were just, people just measure TSH and T4.
Wow. So
you can see there's a major problem there because the thyroid levels, the active thyroid levels are dropping. So these people are, feeling fatigued and a bit more depressed. And one of the side effects, of course, is depression with the pill. Yep. But the thyroid's dropping, so they're going, well, why am I putting on weight? I'm not eating any different. I'm still exercising. And you see that a lot in our FAQs.
Yeah.
The people are on the pill and they just struggle to lose weight.
And obviously, Steve, if you take 100 people and you're going to get a variation of results, some people seem to have better ability to clear estrogen pathways and aren't that affected. Other people, very sensitive to it. So
absolutely. Yeah,
variations, I guess.
Very, very, very much variations. And the other sort of side effect of the pill with weight gain is it drives insulin resistance.
Right.
So you become insulin resistant. You become like a pre-diabetic. So that's problematic because a lot of people, believe it or not, are still being prescribed the pill for their PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is insulin resistance.
It's an oxymoron.
Yeah. There is reason why doctors prescribe it. It's because they have higher androgens like DHEA, testosterone. The pill drops those.
Sure.
So you think, oh, well, that's
got to work.
That's cool. And a lot of people, unfortunately, think that the pill contains progesterone and estrogen. It doesn't. They're natural hormones in the body. It contains progestins, and there's different kinds of those, and ethyl estradiol, which is a synthetic estrogen. So they're completely synthetic.
Yeah, there's xenoestrogens, and we even did a podcast on those, just how obviously concerning and problematic they can be.
Oh yeah, and people worry about plastics and with estrogen and all that sort of thing, and yet the same person may consciously every single day, every single morning pop an estrogen pill.
Yep.
Which is really scary because that's a very potent estrogen.
Yeah.
It's so potent that it causes negative feedback and stops you ovulating.
And same thing with regards to skin. And it's a bit of a band-aid. It might help for a period of time. The problem is when you eventually come off the pill, when you want to start a family, or if you're getting other side effects, it comes back with a vengeance. It's like the pendulum. You can't hold the tide back, right? So the pendulum then swings the other way, and all of a sudden the problem is significantly worse than when it started.
It's vastly worse because remember that DHT thing we talked about there? The thing that regulates that in women, so women don't get as much DHT as men, and that's why they don't get male pattern baldness as often, is because they have higher levels of progesterone. The progestins found in the pill also inhibit DHT production in women, so it's a band-aid effect.
Right.
So once you remove those progestins, guess what happens? It comes back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
And you get vastly worse skin because you've taken off the handbrake and the car's just sped up and gone downhill. It's a real train wreck. And acne is not caused by a deficiency of the contraceptive pill. Yeah. It's not the cause. It's not the causative factor. And it is, and I'll get hate mail for this, but it's a little bit lazy because it's like, oh, you got the pill, we'll fix that with the, you got the acne, we'll give you the pill, that helps with that. Mm-hmm. And it's not. And it's the type of progesterones that cause the depression of the DHT, and there's more potent ones than others. And probably the more potent one are like the Yaz's, and you might have heard of Diane, Brenda, and Caroline 35, and all those sorts of things.
Dated all them. Yep. Yep.
You can't.
At the same time, Steve, I'll have you know.
Yeah. Well,
nobody's going to believe. I've gone too far.
Well. They're called ED, so 35 EDs, and they're very skin ones. There's a whole range of them there. Right. There's Estelle. They give them cool women's names.
Yeah, well, you don't want to take one called Bob, do you? George.
Well, and the problem with those sort of named pills is they're not PBS listed, so they can be more expensive. But they contain cypretone acetate, which increases that thrombosis by 635%.
Jeez, that's nasty.
That's a horrendous thing. The Yaz and that, they contain diaspirone, which, of course, is just as bad.
So obviously this must be well known now by doctors, because if it's declining like this, doctors wouldn't be really prescribing these anymore.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I've just quoted a few studies about how it causes cancer, and it really surprised me to come across one study that said basically, no, it doesn't. And in fact, this is from Gynecology, a paper published, and it read here, many women benefit from important reductions in risks that persist for many years after stopping the pill. And it says most oral contraceptives do not expose themselves to long-term cancer harm. And I went, well, this is a bit of an outlier. And I'm looking at here, and it's published, and it's in the Gynecological, American Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology. And I went, well, this is a bit weird, until I got to the back page and it all became very clear to me.
Who created who did it?
Well, this is just coincidental, of course.
Coincidentally
by Wyeth Aristus International, which just, again, coincidentally make contraceptive pills.
Yeah, right.
I know, it's
Fox in charge of the hen house.
Just coincidentally.
Yeah.
It's not. So like you go through literature, it causes cancer, and I had to, 300%, 200%, whatever it is, and then it says, no, it reduces cancer. And you look at that and you go, that's weird. So this is a big journal. This is like a major journal that a GP could very readily have access to. It happens to be free. You can easily get this paper for some reason.
And that's the problem, I guess. A lot of doctors would read that and accept that. Oh, well, it's in a reputable journal.
Yep.
This information, they seem to have their ducks in a line here. So
it reduces cancer. So there you go.
So it's
Who would have
completely a
guessed?
step. So again, Steve, we always talk about Cochrane reviews. Is there much in terms of Cochrane reviews in relation to any of the data that you've looked at?
There's a couple, and they do increase cancer when you look at that.
There you go. I mean, again, nobody can argue with the Cochrane review.
No,
well, if
they're
you can,
pretty good.
you'd be pretty brave.
They're pretty good.
Because it's looking at the meta. So as far as then the pill, we've mentioned some of the side effects. Do you want to mention some of the other side effects, Steve, outside of cancer and blood clot?
Basically, when you take an oral...
And thyroid?
Yeah, thyroid. There's some other bad things that happen, and this might affect a lot of our audience. When you take the pill, only about 1% is absorbed, and the rest of it gets hit by the liver and goes to the gut because oral hormones is a bad way to take hormones.
Yep.
That's why when you take testosterone replacement, it's an injection or a cream,
Yep.
or something like that. You're not supposed to have oral hormones; they're quite bad for you.
Yeah.
So anyway, what it does is it has a massive effect on the liver, and the first thing it does in the liver is it affects protein production in the liver. And one of the things that has a negative effect on is insulin-like growth factor 1. It suppresses that dramatically.
Gee, really?
Yep.
Which is aging. So, I mean, again, as you age, your level of growth hormone drops by about half every 10 years, I think, on average, Steve.
Yeah.
IGF-1, an incredibly important part for bone, ligament, tendons,
muscle
skin,
growth.
All of it, isn't it?
So everything that grows. So we have a lot of athletes out there who are trying to build muscle.
Yeah.
Ladies, and they may be on the pill. And this is really...
And already it's 6 times harder for women to build muscle on average than men because of the testosterone to estrogen ratio.
Absolutely.
So if they do this, it's putting on a further handbrake. So
yeah,
so you're going to get less muscle and you're going to get more fat. You're going to increase clots and cancer risk.
Yes.
You're looking at varicose veins. You're looking at what else?
Well,
stuffed
that's
up
for
thyroid.
That's for the newer generation ones, the Dianes and
the
Yazes. The older ones don't cause as much clotting. They just cause other.
What are the old ones called, Steve?
Oh, well, the other ones cause cancer.
The older ones. What are they called?
Oh, the older ones are called. Okay, well, there's a whole list of the older ones because they're becoming more popular now.
Yep.
So like Fem tabs.
Oh, well,
ED.
Yeah.
Levelin. Microgyne, that's a very common one.
These are not sexy sounding names. I'd rather go with the Diana or Yasmin.
What about Monofem? You want that one?
Sounds hot. No, Monofem.
Well, here's a good one. Evelyn.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Or Eleanor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good ones.
Yep.
So they're the ones that have the classic levopregestins and have the classic estradiols like most of them do.
Okay.
So they're the ones, and then there's lower dose estrogen pills like, for example, the Femtabs and the Lillet and all those sorts of ones. So there's so many, there's a big list of them. They're just
and doctors are prescribing them for different conditions within the patient based on their profile.
Yeah.
Right.
For example, if somebody came in and they said, I've got bad skin.
Yes.
Then you would give them one of the, you'd give them one of the thrombolytic ones.
Right.
Because they're the most potent anti-androgen ones.
Right.
But the other ones, like for example, you wouldn't give them the mini pill. Because the mini pill has progestins, which are actually an androgen.
Right.
So they have a mild androgenic effect. So one of the side effects of the mini pill is you get deepening of voice, you get hirsutism, you put on weight.
Get out.
You become more masculine, yeah.
So it's almost like a steroid. Almost.
It is a steroid. Progesterone or progestins.
That's why women can't take too much DHEA, correct?
That's
because
right.
Obviously the progesterone can go through the roof, which then can convert into androgens.
Absolutely.
No.
And these actually activate the androgen receptors. They cause weight gain. They also reduce HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol. That's the cholesterol that takes fats from your arteries and takes them back to your liver for processing.
Yeah. Okay.
So mini pills might sound safer.
It does sound safer. It's like just a little one.
Yeah, it's just a mini one. It's not the real, but they're the ones without the estrogen. So, of course, they're not as popular because they give the estrogen to give the feminizing effects to women.
Right.
The problem with that is that the estrogen ones really drop testosterone. So you get these women that go on the pill and then don't want to have sex.
That seems like an oxymoron too.
A little bit. Well, it does. It impedes your libido. Everyone knows that. It's quite a common side effect because of the anti-androgen effect. And for those women who are athletes out there, they struggle to put muscle on because they've lost their androgens. And you see women come in here, I'm on the pill, I've got no sex drive, my husband's annoyed. Or we read them out every week. It's staggering, and this is quite bad. But
and it's not good because we just want people to get together, isn't that right, Steve?
Exactly.
Happy, healthy, in every area of their life. And look, the funny thing is sexual dysfunction is one of the major causes of arguments in relationships. Let's face it. I mean, if you're out of kilter there, that can really cause some major issues.
It's horrendous. I'll give you some more bad news now.
Thanks.
You know how it causes all the clotting? All the clotting factors, it basically increases like coagulation factor 2, 4, 6, all the numbers. So this really does cause clotting as well as fibrinogen, which makes your blood thick.
Yeah, right.
So this is quite a bad thing, you know. This is quite a clotting thing. It also increases a protein called C-reactive protein, which is
I remember hearing that, but I don't know what it does.
Inflammation. So it causes a background inflammation in the body. So they might get aches and pains that you go, why have I got that, and all that sort of thing. So that's what it does to your proteins. What it does to your lipids is it increases apolipoprotein A1, which is the very, very bad cholesterol. It increases total lipids in your blood and total triglycerides. So it's very bad for your heart. And the only thing saving women with their heart is because they're young, usually on the pill, and they're usually not prone to heart attacks. So it's not so bad. So the clotting one is really bad. Probably one of the two worst side effects of the pill, I think, depression and increases of suicide.
So you've got a little list here, Steve.
Yeah.
So what are the benefits of taking the pill? Acne, moods, bone health. But moods could even be, sort of sometimes can, sometimes can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Side effects, cancers, thyroid, insulin resistance, clotting, depression, suicide, gut, and you've got
ulcerative colitis.
Yep. Increase in candida.
Yep.
What did John say the other day? As we had a meeting, I was about to punch him. He was calling it...
Candida.
Candida. And I said, did you say Canada? He goes, no, Candida. I said, you mean Candida? He goes, no, it's pronounced Candida. I'm like, I'm going to punch you. Straight shot to the old baby maker. The proteins from the liver, shrinking of the brain, and... Did you say
litigation? That's all the lawsuits that are against the pills.
Okay. So I mean, there's a lot there. Shrinking of the brain.
Yeah, it shrinks.
Well, it's already proven scientifically, Steve, that man's brain is 30% larger than a female's. I'm quoting from Borat here, world-renouncing. So women can't afford to lose any more. Well, no, obviously that's a joke, but nobody wants to get a smaller brain.
No,
I certainly don't.
No one wants a smaller brain. The worst part about it is it targets two parts of the brain that it shrinks.
Right.
The first one is the hippocampus.
Yep.
Now the hippocampus processes memories, so women may become forgetful on the pill.
Not any women I've met.
Yes.
Anyway.
Of makeup, but that also causes depression. The shrinking of the hippocampus causes depression.
Yep.
And also it shrinks the cerebral cortex. You get thickening there. Atrophy there of the cortex. Now the cortex is the part of the brain, as the name cortex means, it's the outside part. So it's the big outside part of your brain that's involved in human reasoning. So it's not to do with urges or anything like that. It's to do with reasoning out and problem solving. Complex things.
I am not. There are so many jokes that just went through there. I am not touching any of them.
I'm not.
Yes, I like being married.
Yeah, no, so do I.
Okay.
I don't want to. I know my wife listens.
So, in terms of, don't worry, we'll do one on men and we'll just dump as much crap.
There's so much for men.
Oh, come on,
believe.
Steve. Yeah, it's useless. But
with regards to suicides, I'll give you some stats for you because this is fair. This was a big study. 500,000 women were followed for an average of 8.3 years, which is, believe it or not, 3.9 million person years. This is a huge study in the American Journal of Psychiatry, and they analysed all this data. And they took a mean age of 21. There was 6,999 first suicide attempts and 71 suicides were identified. Compared with women that never used the pill, there was actually a 1.97 risk, in other words, 197% risk for suicide attempt and a 308% for actual suicide, successful suicide, which is horrendous. Risk for oral progestin only was less. It was only 258% increased risk of suicide.
Right. I was going to say, what type of pill? Did it track what type of pill, or was that just broad across the...
They took two types of pills, the estrogen, progesterone, the common one, and the mini pill.
Right.
The estrogen one caused 300% more suicides, and the progesterone only was only, they said only, 250% increased risk of suicide.
Yeah, still not great.
Still a lot. Now, for the vaginal ring one, there was a 328%.
What's that one? That's the...
not
an IUD.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, the 328 was for the patch, which is there's types of patch pills you can get too.
I'm glad you've mentioned that because, again, because I think a lot of people are saying, okay, so, and they would have heard you before, Steve, you don't want to take hormones orally. You're better off getting them injected. Yeah. Atrocious under the skin, that sort of stuff. So there are contraceptives that are done via injection or via little pellets that they put under the skin that slowly, dissolve. I hate them. Really bad. and again, you can talk more about that, Steve. My sister had it done. She was supposed to, I think it was 2 years. It was supposed to dissolve in her body so that she wouldn't get a period. I mean, again, just knowing everything that I know about health, it's just like, we're not supposed to function that way. Anyway, she didn't have a period for, I think, nearly 4, and massive weight gain, huge sorts of health issues. Steve, tell me more about this option and why you might want to reconsider it, or potentially even talk to your doctor if you've got it, having it removed, which some of my friends have actually done.
It's a scary one because the trade name's Implanton, and what they do is they get a pellet and they inject it. It could be in the bicep here, just under the bicep there, and they inject the pellet to slowly releases progestins, not progesterone. Don't get fooled for that. Progestins, which is like the mini pill. So instead of taking it every day, so the problem with that, of course, is, as I've said before, the side effects are massive weight gain, as I've said, increasing in androgens. So your system may have put on weight in bad areas, like around her waist here, which is a really bad area for women. If she puts on weight, it becomes more androgenic, which is a severe side effect. But the major problem with these is, let's say you're having a bad reaction to the mini pill, you stop taking it, and the mucus clears up in a few days, and you're fine. You have a bad reaction to that one, it's like, oh, well, just stick it out for the next 2 years, you'll be fine.
You can have them removed.
Yeah, but it's a pretty, it's a pretty drastic thing.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with that one. It's a progestin-only pill.
Right.
So you get androgens and weight gain and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So it's not a very common one, but it's common enough to mention.
Yeah, I think less and less people must be taking it, because I haven't heard anybody using it for a while.
No, it's incredibly bad. Now there's some other side effects that you mentioned there for the depression and suicide. One of the really bad ones is the gut and how it affects the microbiome in the gut.
Right.
Which increases dramatically Candida albicans. Candida.
Oh, don't. I'll punch you too.
Well, I've got lots of muscles, so I've been working out.
That's a personal, private joke.
Yes.
Okay, upsetting the gut health. So obviously, and again, we all know serotonin, the gut brain link. Obviously that's going to cause issues. Is that where the major issue for the depression is coming from?
Yeah, because what happens is when you take estrogen, or estradiol, I should say, because there's 3 types of estrogen. There's estrone, estradiol, and estriol, and this is E2, which is estradiol, which is a very potent estrogen.
Yep.
Now, because it's not absorbed very well, it goes through your gut. And everyone thinks, oh, well, so what? You poo it out. No, it goes through and drives inflammation inside the colon. And specifically, it drives up an inflammatory thing called a T helper 2 driven inflammation, which means you're vastly increased prone to ulcerative colitis. So that's a very bad gut disorder.
Yeah.
That's like, your colon becomes inflamed and, has ulcers on it, as the name would suggest. And that stuffs the serotonin production thing, so you get major depression and suicide.
Cascade.
Yeah.
And typically, again, this is the problem. Without knowing it, then people who happen to develop that, whatever percentage of people may, they go back to the doctor and they go, right, let's get you on this medication, or let's get you on that medication, depending on obviously what your condition is.
Well, I mean, here's the scary thing: is the number one medication for ulcerative colitis is sulfasalazine, which is a drug. It's a sulfur-based drug, which is good for ulcerative colitis. Now, let's say a woman takes that drug, and then gets ulcerative colitis, and then they want to have a baby. They go off the pill, and they're still on sulfasalazine. Well, that destroys your folate metabolism, so you'll end up with spinal bifida. That's a side effect.
Wow.
So it's, hopefully the doctor's onto this and they go, well, just go off this thing and we'll let your ulcerative colitis run wild. So it's just it's like a train wreck. Something happens and something, it just goes on and on forever.
Cascades.
And so then the women go on corticosteroids, which causes more weight gain and all sorts, and it causes insulin resistance. So they're more prone to gestational diabetes. Lovely, isn't it? It's just, you're dealing with the side effect of a drug. It's a side effect of a drug. You know what I mean? And the pro, like if I'll give you an example. Say there's a drug out and it will cure your cancer, and it has horrendous side effects. You go, I'll take it. Because it will cure my cancer.
Steve, let's get to the root of the problem and why people take contraceptives and potentially some alternatives that they could consider.
Sure.
If it's for contraceptive purposes, we could send out a photo of you. That
exactly.
would work well.
Put it above your bed, a big photo of yourself there, and you go, ooh, not in the mood all of a sudden. Ooh.
No one's in the mood. So I think in terms of, as far as contraceptive is concerned, and again, I hate to say it, Good old prophylactics, the French love letters, the rubbers,
Yes.
passion killers, as
Yep.
people like to call them. But, they're relatively effective and they're relatively. Oh my gosh, where'd that storm come
Having a
from?
wonderful storm.
Yeah. So some of the other reasons why people might want to take the pill, obviously outside of contraception, but they could use, as I said, the rubbers. As far as skin, Steve, we mentioned before zinc.
Yes.
What else can people do if they've got particularly bad skin?
Sure, and we'll call back acne bad skin.
Sure.
Because it's the most common one. Well, we know that islanders in sort of North Papua New Guinea don't get acne, which is a really interesting thing, and that's because they consume a Paleolithic diet. So you've got to get off the insulin and IGF-1 triggers, which are things like dairy and grains.
Sure.
So they're the...
And you're a big believer in that, Steve. And
Absolutely.
again, you mentioned inflammation, all sorts of things, but skin health, removing dairy and
grains. And of course, as you mentioned, the zinc is an excellent thing for your skin.
Yeah.
There are a lot of nutrients for the skin. Niacinamide is a very good supplement you can get for the skin.
Yep.
Vitamin D is very good for the skin. Vitamin E, all these. Vitamin A is very good for the skin. In fact, vitamin A is exceptionally good for acne that is lost popularity because a lot of women that get acne don't take vitamin A because they're often of reproductive age.
Yeah, and also the is it Ritalin? What was the thing that people used to take for their skin?
Oh, Roaccutane.
Roaccutane, sorry. Not Ritalin. That's
that's for ADHD.
ADHD, yeah.
That's right.
But there's some negative side effects for that as well too. And again, we've covered that in a podcast. So don't. What is it? Don't jump out of the frying pan into the fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Roaccutane is a synthetic form of vitamin A.
Yeah. Again, the funny thing, we keep coming back to these synthetics. And again, I know that for people that listen to us, Steve, they know that we believe that nature knows best. Anyway.
Crazy.
So, yeah, looking after your skin through that sort of mechanism will help.
Absolutely. Lots of things you can do for your skin, of course. There's topical tea tree oil. Cochrane Review said that was useful for acne too. So something you can do like that. And there's all sorts of things you can do. You can eat. There's all sorts of other herbs like burdock and yellow dock and all these other great herb cleansers, and they're absolutely fantastic. You can do. And I know we've done podcasts on them.
I think we have, Steve.
So I won't repeat.
Maybe we can put a link to that. All right. So what else?
The pill is often given to women with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Now, hang on a minute. That is also 100% round the wrong way.
Yes, of course it is.
Something I heard yesterday was that apparently, and I don't know these figures, I'm making them,
That's
or
right.
I'm repeating
hearsay.
80% of people who have taken the pill get PCOS. That can't be right.
Seems like a lot, but PCOS is a condition where they have high levels of insulin resistance and they get high levels of androgens, and you may get cysts on the ovaries.
What is the percentage, Steve, of people that take the pill? I want the real figures.
They take the pill?
Yeah.
It depends on what survey you take, but it was the highest number I saw, if you want to give the highest one, was 91% of women during their lifetime have taken the pill.
Right, and what percentage get PCOS though?
About 1 in 7 get PCOS.
There you go. I like to clarify the numbers, Steve. If we're going to throw it out there, probably people are going, oh my gosh, 80%. That didn't sound right.
Yeah, this is a lot. But a lot of women are put on the pill when they've got PCOS.
Right.
And that worries me because, again, that's not the cause of it.
Yeah.
It's, you've got a hormonal problem. Oh, well, we'll give you the pill. And that's not the way to do it. Yeah. It's not the cause of it.
Yeah.
And, the theory behind, of course, is that the pill, the women with PCOS have high androgens and low estrogen or lowish estrogen and very low progesterone. So they give a pill that's got estrogen and progesterone in it and it reduces testosterone, and you think, well, this is magic. But it's not the way to do it because it's synthetic hormones.
Yeah.
And the synthetic hormones are vastly different to natural hormones.
Yeah.
So, in fact, if you took progesterone as a woman, you'd be more fertile because it's a great hormone for inducing fertility.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's called progesterone because it's progestation. It's for babies. So, it's absolutely scary. But another reason why the women would take the pill is if they've got osteoporosis. And this is where I kind of go, I see this. But again, I would give, if you had to give hormones to women to build their bones, and you should just give natural hormones. Like estrone, which is a milder estrogen, and progesterone, like natural creams. Which are, you can prescribe from the doctor, because these ones are synthetic. They're made in a lab. They're not found in the human body. If you took a bunch of these progesterones or progestins and estrogens and you measured your hormone levels, they'd be really low because these aren't the hormones that the chemical is testing for.
Right.
So if you wanted to build bone, you could, hit the gym, get some
Well, I was going to
vitamin
say,
D.
get outside, see the sunshine, and do some weight bearing exercise.
Absolutely, because otherwise you're going to be, you're going to be chasing your tail with the pill, and
Plenty of leafy greens in your diet as well too,
with vitamin K, absolutely,
and
vitamin D. So the pill is an interesting one like that, but it's pretty scary with regards to the side effects of the pill, with the shrinking of the brain. The clots is the big one, or depression and suicide, and anxiety that you get from taking the pill because it suppresses your natural hormones. It's really quite scary. So, sure, take the thing if you want contraception, but beware of the side effects.
Yep.
I'm like you. I think people should be given the choice to do what they want with their own body.
Sure.
But I know.
So long as they're aware of the consequences, Steve. And that's one thing that I don't think is getting enough across. I would imagine many people that are listening to the podcast today are going, yeah, I knew that there might be some side effects, some minor ones, but probably not some of the major ones that are happening here. And again, you could be a statistic. So, these are real. These do happen. And even if it's some of the minor ones, the frustrations people might be having with weight gain or, sluggish thyroid, all those sorts of things too.
Well, the thyroid's a tricky one because that just slows everything down.
Yeah. And again, these things sort of seem to steamroll, and then you've got one issue that leads into another one, and then you're treating it with another medication, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're an absolute basket
You're
case.
in trouble. So there's a lot of biochemistry going on here that it screws with. It's not good.
Before we move on to some FAQ, Steve, any other questions or any other statements?
Not really. I guess be aware, and that's the most important thing you can be. Is be aware of the side effects in taking the pill. People think it's a bit innocuous because everyone's on the pill. I've taken it for X years, and it's not an innocuous, simple thing. You go to get the pill. Make sure you get your blood pressure checked because it increases blood pressure. Check for clots. If you're prone to clots, you've got a family history of clots. Be careful taking the third and fourth generations pills. Always go for the second generation pills, which are now showing to be vastly safer, which is a terrible thing that medicine's sort of gone a bit backwards in that area. And the fourth generation ones are better for reducing androgens, but do it naturally.
I think the pharmaceutical motto was, don't let a few million people die and get in the way of some good profits. Yes. I'm just kidding. That's not there. That's their unofficial.
Yeah, that's
their evil lair.
That's
motto.
what they say in their private parties. They sort of say that. But it does cause massive side effects. $2 billion in lawsuits just for Yaz.
It's pretty crazy.
It's very crazy. And there's so many different pills. So if you're going to go on the pill, make sure you pick the lower dose possible because it's still going to cause infertility.
All right.
I think we've done. We're just going to watch the storm pass outside.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pretty crazy.
And the rain's coming sideways.
Yes, it will.
Steve, that's all we've got time for today.
All right.
We'll be back next week.
Absolutely. See you then.
See you then.
Wait a minute.